You know how every year there's a new superfood that's supposed to fix all of our problems? First it was blueberries, then kale, quinoa, chia seeds. Well, bees are finally getting their turn. Except, unlike us, their superfood isn't about Instagrammable salads. But it might be the key to boosting their numbers and keeping food on our tables. Welcome to the Goodish News channel. I'm Ashley, your professional pessimist. In a desperate effort to convince myself that not all news is bad news, I'm bringing you current events that will hopefully leave you feeling better than when you got here. No promises though. Honeybees help pollinate about $15 billion worth of crops just in the United States every year, making them one of the most important parts to our food security. The honeybee population has been declining in the US since the 1960s though, due to threats like pesticides, disease, insufficient food, mites, and our good friend climate change. Commercial honeybee colonies in the US could see a 70% loss just in 2025. I know you came here for good news, but just trust the process, we'll get there. Honeybees are not actually native to North America. They were brought from Europe in the 17th century to help pollinate crops. Though honeybees do boost crop yields, they can compete with native bees and other pollinators for food sources. Bees need a variety of pollen for essential nutrients, especially sterols, which are important for their development.
Don't touch me, I'm sterile!
Not that kind of sterile.
I'm sterile, right, baby doe?
Yes, dear. From the nuclear plant.
Beautiful.
Or that one. Sterols are natural fat-like molecules that all animals, including bees, need to stay healthy. You can think of them as building blocks for cell membranes. They help keep cells stable and working properly. In humans, the most familiar sterol is cholesterol. Bees can't make sterols on their own, so they have to get them from pollen. Without enough sterols, bees struggle to grow, reproduce, and survive. During the winter months or when food is scarce, bees eat stored honey, but beekeepers also sometimes provide artificial food supplements if their bees need an extra boost. The issue is these supplements typically lack key sterile nutrients because those are mainly found in pollen. And on top of that, climate change and intensive farming are lowering the nutritional value of wild plants. Scientists developed a superfood using the yeast Yaroia lipolytica to make 6 important sterols for bees, which they added to the bee feed. In trials, bee colonies that got the new supplement produced 15 times more larvae that reached the pupal stage compared to colonies that didn't. The new supplement resulted in healthier colonies with bees more likely to care for their young longer. I'm also a lot nicer to my kids when I'm well fed. The sterile content in larvae from treated colonies matched that of colonies feeding on natural pollen. This shows that the supplement is biologically effective. If widely used, this supplement could also help native pollinators by reducing competition for wild pollen. Further research could lead to special superfoods for native bees as well. Beekeeping experts say the supplement shows promise, but threats like habitat loss, pesticides, and climate change, well, those things are all still around and could potentially harm all pollinators, not just honeybees. Of course, this isn't the first time humans have gone to great lengths to protect bees. Thousands of years ago, long before lab-engineered superfoods, the ancient Egyptians were already keeping bees, harvesting honey, and weaving them into their culture and religion. And if I can find an excuse to talk about ancient Egypt, I'm gonna do it. Bees were a powerful symbol of royalty in ancient Egypt and represented the king of Lower Egypt. The bee was closely linked to the sun god Ra, or sometimes called Re, whose tears were believed to transform into bees, symbolizing life and creation. There's nothing like the idea of bees crawling down your face when you're sad. Ancient Egyptians believed that honey and beeswax were divine substances, and bees symbolized rebirth, immortality, and resurrection. And honey also had the ability to ward off demons, so that's an added bonus. Bees had practical importance in Egyptian society beyond just symbolism. Honey and wax were used in medicine, cosmetics, and the mummification process. Also, I did a video a while back on a study that was all about why mummies smell good. Maybe the honey contributed to the good smell. I'll link to that video down below if you're interested. The oldest known depiction of organized beekeeping dates back to around 2422 BC in the Old Kingdom during the 5th dynasty of Egypt. One of the earliest and most famous pieces of evidence is a relief found in the sun temple of the pharaoh Enwisere, showing beekeepers smoking bees and collecting honey. By 1500 BC, beekeeping was widespread and organized across Egypt, especially in Lower Egypt, where the Nile Delta's rich plant life supported large apiaries. Beekeeping was integrated into the Egyptian economy and administration. Titles like Chief Beekeeper appear in hieroglyphics, indicating its importance. And you know that guy was throwing that title around. Beehives were long horizontal cylinders, about 4 feet in length and 8 to 12 inches in diameter. These cylinders were stacked in rows to form walls, or sometimes pyramids of hives. Early Egyptian beehives were made from clay or mud. These designs are visible in ancient tomb paintings. Here's a modern day hive with what is thought to be a similar design to what the Egyptians used in ancient times. Each cylindrical hive was sealed with mud covers on the ends, one of which had a small hole to allow bees to enter and exit. Ancient Egyptians transported these stacked hives on specially made rafts along the Nile River, moving to follow seasonal flower blooms for maximum honey production. Thousands and thousands of bees on a river. What could go wrong? Beekeepers using smoke or incense to calm bees during honey harvest was depicted in temple and tomb reliefs. Hieroglyphics and artwork show scenes of hive management, including extracting honey and processing it in jars. Honey was widely used as a sweetener in medicine, and it was used for wounds and infections. And it was used as tribute or tax paid to the pharaoh. Nothing like that liquid gold, baby. Honey had a lot of religious significance also. It was used in offerings to gods and sacred animals, and jars of honey were placed in tombs for the afterlife. A famous example is King Tut's tomb, where a 2,000-year-old jar of honey was found, still supposedly edible. Honey was included in over 500 medicinal recipes recorded in ancient Egyptian medical papyri, treating things like burns and cuts due to its antibacterial properties. A single honeybee produces about 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey in its lifetime. A pound of honey entails a hive of bees traveling 55,000 miles and visiting 2 million flowers. And you thought you were overworked. They haven't earned the busy bee moniker for nothing. From the temples of ancient Egypt to today's research labs, humans have understood that bees are worth protecting, and our survival is deeply connected to theirs. So let's hope this new superfood is the best one yet, because if anyone puts another kale salad in front of me. If you're looking for more good news in your life, be sure to check out this video right here. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing so we can ignore all the bad news together.